let me say shouts out and congratulations to the Florida Panthers for winning their first Stanley Cup final. Beating the Edmonton Oilers in 7 games. The reason why I started this segment with that is because I'm almost sure that when the Florida Panthers started this series with the Edmonton Oilers, they probably didn't think that it was going to be as challenging as it was. They probably didn't think that after being up 3-0 that they would find themselves in a Stanley Cup Final Game 7 just a week later. That's the beauty of sports, and that's the beauty of first times. No one could have projected this. That was the third time in NHL history that a team in the Stanley Cup Finals, that is the Edmonton Oilers, came back from a 3-0 deficit to force a Game 7. If they would have won, it would have been the second team ever to win. I think the first one was the 40s. No one. There's not a road that you go and say, hey, if you go this road, everything is going to work the way that it's supposed to work, the way that it's worked before. I mean, when you look at this series, Matthew Tkachuk wasn't the best. Sergei Bobrovsky wasn't the best, even though he was incredible the first 3 games. Alexei Barkov wasn't the best. It was a team effort. And even in that, it still was pushed to 7 games. In that, the whole, journey and everything, I think you have to understand what the Stanley Cup Final showed you is the power of momentum. If you want to question what momentum looks like, or if you want to question if momentum is really a thing that is important to winning, the Stanley Cup Final should have showed you that. When a team has momentum, it is hard to overcome, and it is hard to snatch the momentum. That's why I'm giving all the shouts out to Edmonton. I know I picked Edmonton in 6, but not many people picked Edmonton to win this series. This series also should have showed you that even if you have the best players, which that should be a big advantage, and that's actually the main reason why I picked Edmonton, but having the best players doesn't always mean that you have the advantage. In fact, this series should have showed you a lot. One, it should have showed you the power of perseverance, because let me tell you something. If I'm winning 3-0 and then I look up and if I'm winning the series 3-0 and I look up and we're about to go to a Game 7, do you know how rattled I probably would be knowing myself? Like, hold up. We were a game away from hoisting the Stanley Cup, and now we have to go to a do or die Game 7. So perseverance is a thing. Shouts out to Florida for doing that. This series should have showed you that momentum is a real thing. And momentum isn't just a game, like one game. Momentum is, okay, the Oilers are hot right now. We're down 3-0. We have nothing to lose. They start firing on all cylinders. Their momentum was so strong, it had people thinking that Sergei Bobrovsky, who is one of the best goalies in hockey, he was injured. They were like, is he injured? Because he was just the Oilers were just scoring at will. 5 goals, 8 goals. Like, hold up. Hold up. Something's not something, right? But that's momentum. Edmonton had momentum, and they rode it to Game 7. It also should show you, this series also should have showed you, if you are, especially if you're the better team or you're projected to be the better team, if you stick to what got you there, 9 times out of 10 is going to carry you to success. If you looked at that game 7, for anyone that did watch it, if you watched that game 7, Florida played the same exact way they played when they went against the Lightning, when they went against the Bruins, and when they went against the Rangers. Physical, just hitting people, and not really worried about scoring a bunch of goals, just scoring the goals that you need to. And having incredible goalie play. That's what got the Florida Panthers to the Stanley Cup final. And that essentially is what won them Game 7. Now, I'm not going to lie. Once they got to Game 7, I was extremely happy, and I was rooting heavily for the Edmonton Oilers. Because, again, I want to see history. Once history is on the cusp like that, I would like to see it completed, But it goes to my next point. The reason why I picked Edmonton, and I'm sure the reason why a lot of people picked Edmonton, not most, but a lot of people, is because they had the 2 best players, Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl. You had the 2 best players going to the series, and you knew one of them was the best player because even though the Edmonton Oilers lost, Connor McDavid still won the Conn Smythe, which is pretty much the Stanley Cup Playoffs MVP. And it doesn't just go by what you do in the Stanley Cup Finals. It goes by what you do in the entire playoffs. And Connor McDavid on the losing team won the Conn Smythe. So that should show you how good he is. I think he broke Wayne Gretzky's record for most assists or something, or most points in a playoff series or playoff run. Connor McDavid is him. I'm gonna be real with you. Like, I know that we're gonna look and say, well, he didn't win the World or the Stanley Cup. Yeah, but they just don't regularly give the Conn Smythe to the losing player. And I think he kind of won it like in a landslide. But what I was saying about that is this: name alone doesn't win you anything. Your name, your legacy, what you've done in the past doesn't win you anything in the present. I think that's why a lot of people sort of clown for a little bit Klay Thompson when every single time he's met with adversity, or every single time he was met with adversity, or somebody talking trash to him, or just him not being the best this season, you always saw him go to the 4 rings. This is like, yeah, you won 4 rings. Shouts out to you. No one's taking away what you've done for those 4 rings. But what are those 4 rings doing to you right now? What do those 4 rings get you right now? The past is never going to win you the present. It can show you how to win in the present, but the past is never going to win you in the present. Your name alone isn't going to win you anything. I say all that to say, the reason why I picked Edmonton to beat the Florida Panthers is because they had the 2 best players. Well, in that, your 2 best players have to play like your 2 best players. Now, no, I'm not putting this loss, the entire loss, on the play of Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl. And I'm mainly focusing on Leon Draisaitl, and I'm not putting the entire loss on him. But Connor McDavid did everything that he could, even with the NHL's number 1 defensive team, which is the Florida Panthers, honing in on Connor McDavid every single game, Connor McDavid still had assists. He still played pretty well. There were games where he could have played better, especially when Edmonton saw themselves go down 3-0 in the series. But you saw Connor McDavid kind of flip it and flip it on, and he just went crazy until the last game. But Leon Draisaitl did not show up at all in this series. Now, I think it came out that he had a broken hand. And in that sense, I understand. If he did have a broken hand, it's very hard to shoot. It's very hard to play any sport with a broken hand. So I get it. But in real time, when you don't know that he has a broken hand, I'm looking like, all right. At some point, Leon Draisaitl has to remind us why he is the second best player in this series, at least by name. And that's even with Alexander Barkov. That's even with Matthew Tkachuk. Shouts out to him. Jason Tatum's a school friend, I guess, growing up in St. Louis. Shouts out to them. And I'm not just putting it all on. Honestly, outside of Leon Draisaitl not playing the best he could play, and obviously not kind of being a no-show for the series, Edmonton played to me the best way they could play outside of Leon Draisaitl. You come in with inferior goalie play. Skinner played the best that he could, but he's not really good, at all. In fact, I'm shocked that they were able to overcome him not, their goalie play. But they showed you how to play team defense because, Skinner's not that good. I'll be real with you. I thought he was gonna, seems like they beat the Kings and the Canucks and the Stars, and I think the Canucks and the Stars were amongst some of the league leaders in goals this year. I thought that he was gonna go crazy. I was wrong. But I'm not mad at anyone, man. The fact that you were able to force a Game 7 after being down 3-0 and being the decisive underdogs in this series should show you just how good Edmonton really is, man. And for people that are saying, well, this is really going to hurt Connor McDavid's legacy, look, man. I think this is a very interesting offseason for the Edmonton Oilers, seeing as though I think they just fired their GM, which I don't know if I would have done that. Usually I would, because the Edmonton Oilers really don't have a good team. They have two good players in Leon Draisaitl and Connor McDavid, and they surround them with a bunch of pieces, not solid pieces. And it's been like that for years now. But this is the first year you fire your coach, you bring in a new head coach, and you get all the way to the Stanley Cup Final. I probably would have given the GM maybe 2 or 3 more years, but that's me. And you have to figure out what you're going to do with Leon Draisaitl, seeing as though he has an opportunity to get the max. I don't know exactly what the max is in NHL, but he has an opportunity to leave and get the max, because I don't think the Edmonton Oilers can afford to give him the max. So it's like, if you're Leon Draisaitl, do I take less to stay with a team that we've tried over and over and over again to get to the promised land and we ultimately haven't done it? Or do I take the max with a team that probably isn't going to give me the best shot, but at least I get paid? That's kind of the situation that Paul George finds himself in. Do I go to a team that can give me the max, and I might have a shot to win a championship, but, or do I stay with the team, take a little bit less, but we continue to fail with this team? We continue to come up short. It's going to be a very interesting year or offseason for the Edmonton Oilers, I will tell you that. But in that, I will say again, congratulations to the Florida Panthers for winning their team's first Stanley Cup final. And they were incredible, man. Shouts out to all of them. And let me give credit to the coach. I don't know his name by heart. I'm going to look it up, but I want to give credit to him because he has the third most wins in hockey history, and he never won a Stanley Cup final until now. So I want to say his name. Let me see. Florida Panthers head coach. Please bear with me. I appreciate you guys. Paul Maurice. I want to shout out to you, man. I want to give a personal shout out to you. He, I think, has the third most wins in NHL history for a coach. And he never won a Stanley Cup final until now. So a lot of winning for nothing until now. So I want to say shouts out to you, Paul Maurice, for finally getting over the hump and winning your he's from Hartford? Oh no. He coached the Hartford Whalers. I'm about to say, hold on now. Shouts out to you, man. Shouts out to the Florida Panthers. And shouts out to the Edmonton Oilers for making it a very competitive series. But yeah, congratulations to the Florida Panthers for winning the Stanley Cup final. Oh, man, you stayed to the end of the video. I appreciate you. If you like what you saw, be sure to hit that subscribe button so you'll never miss any content from your boy. You can also go back and watch past episodes, past clips, and don't forget that the Unpopular Podcast, new episodes drop every Wednesday and Saturday. Appreciate you.